Okay, so we're learning how to calculate or measure risk. Alright, risk is measured using the standard deviation. Alright, standard deviation is just basically how far the data points are from the average. Now in this case, we're trying to see how far our actual returns can be from our average. Okay, how far our actual returns can be from our average, because remember, risk in this case here is when like your actual return is different from what you expected, or your average return. Okay, if you expected 10% and then your actual return is 1%, which means there's a standard deviation of 9%, or there's a risk of 9%. Right? So we're still dealing with this company CR1. Okay, we've still got this information here. This information was given to us here. Alright, we had the state of the economy. Alright, then the probability of the returns in this at this state. So when we say the economy is at a boom, there's a 30% probability that you make a return of 20%. The economy is doing normal, there's a 50% probability that you make a return of 10%. The economy is in a recession, there is a 20% probability that you make a return of -5%. Okay, and we calculated our expected return earlier on. So now we want to calculate standard deviation. Okay, so we begin from here. Right, first thing we need to do, each return minus the expected return. Alright, so here you're going to say 0.2 minus 0.1 . You get 0.1. Okay, the return minus the expected return, each return minus the expected return. Okay, colleagues, each of these returns, you're going to subtract them from the expected return. So for when the economy is normal, the return is 0.1 minus the expected return 0.1, you get 0. Okay, so each return, first you subtract each return from the expected return. So here -0.5 minus 0.1, you get -0.15. -0.15. So each return, we subtracted it from the expected return. Okay, and expected return is 10% in there. Then after that, you're going to square this. Okay, when we subtract each return from the expected return, you're going to square it now. Squared, each return minus the expected return squared. Okay, so basically these numbers we're getting here, 0.1 squared. Let's get our calculator so that we confirm. 0.1 squared, is it 0.001?
Yes, it is.
Okay, 0 squared is 0. And then, what was this one here? -0.5 squared what do we get? Negative 0.15 squared. Let's just want to put the table in order here. Negative 0.15 squared. Are we getting 0.025? Are we getting this 0.0225 when we square negative 0.15? Are we getting this? Colleagues, are we getting 0.225 when we square this? I just want to make sure. When we square negative 0.15. Have I been kicked out?
Yes.
Okay. Then after that, what we do next is we multiply each probability with this squared value. Okay, probability times open brackets each return minus the expected return squared. Okay, so this probability 0.3 and multiplied by 0.01, you get 0.03. 0.5 times 0, you get 0. 0.2 times 0.0225, you get 0.0045. Okay, each probability, you're multiplying it by when we squared this return minus expected return. Okay, each probability, we're multiplying it by that. Any questions? Okay, so we total this up. We add 0.03. Yes.
So just to confirm, that long equation you showed us at first, this is the tabulations now.
Which long equation?
The payout. There's an equation I saw on top. I don't know.
Oh, that was expected return. That was expected return equation, madam.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, I drew the equations on top here even. Okay. Yes. So as you can see, first you subtract each return by the expected return, then you square the value, then multiply it by the probability. And after you do that, you add up. So 0.03 plus 0.045, you get 0.0075. Now this is just our variance. It's our standard deviation squared, basically. Okay. So our standard deviation is the square root of the variance. Okay. So the square root of 0.0075, we get 0.0866. Okay. So as we said, standard deviation, let's talk about how far your actual return can be from your expected return. All right. So if you look at this diagram I drew here, all right, our expected return is 10%. This is what we expect to get when we invest in CR1 corporation. But since we've got a standard deviation of this 0.0086, this is 8.6%. This is 8.6% or 8.7% if we round it off. Okay, so if you look at this diagram here, okay, when we invest in CR1 we expect a return of 10%, but we might not get this return. Okay, maybe you might get a return of, so you can add this 8.7 plus 10, you might get a return of 18.7%. all right, or if worst comes to worst, 10 minus 8.7%, you might get a return of 1.3%. So basically this is the range where you can expect your return to be in. Okay, you might get a return of 2%, might get a return of 12%, you might get a return of 11%, you might get a return of 12%, a return of 1.5%. It gives you an idea of what range you can expect your returns to be. Okay, colleagues, we have got now an idea of what range we expect our returns to be in. Okay, yes, any questions? So the standard deviation shows how much results can move from the average. Okay, so it can move 8.7% up from the average or 8.7% down from the average. Okay. Yes.